Hey, welcome back, nerds. Today we're going to be talking about loops. Generally used for looping over a chunk of code until a condition is met. They're most often used for iterating over a collection. They can also be used for events in some cases and user input. First type of loop I want to go over is a for loop. This is kind of your basic loop that's used in pretty much every language. It has a counter that's used to keep track of its position in a loop. How for loops are constructed is you have a start point, a condition, and some sort of like additional process, usually like adding one every time. We'll go into more detail when we get into the code, but just giving you a general overview. Next we have for each loops, pretty similar to for loops, just they don't have that counter. Um, Almost always used for looping over a collection. And one main thing is you can't guarantee order. This is going to depend based on what language and what data type you're looping over. So just assume it's not sorted or ordered unless you know otherwise. Lastly, we have while and do while loops. These run code until a condition is met. The difference between a while loop and a do while loop is do while loop for condition is checked after the code is ran, so you can always make sure the code is ran first and before condition is checked. And you also have something called a while true loop. It's an infinite loop. It has its uses, but you want to be very careful when using them. They can just lock up a whole program, cause a stack overflow, some sort of memory error. Often you're going to be running these on a different thread for some sort of like event checking or polling operations, something like that. Okay, now let's go into the code. Okay, so we're in here in our program class. We have some stuff going on, so let's first check out the for loops. Okay, so here we just have a basic for loop. We're starting where I is equal to 0 and going until I, or going while I is less than 10. And we're adding plus 1 to I every time, and we're just outputting I. And just to show you don't have to do that I plus plus every time, here we're doing I plus equals 5. So every time it's adding 5 to I. So here, just looking at it, it should go 0, 5, 10, 15, etc. Now getting into for each, we have this list, just adding some names to it. It's a list of strings, just for eaching over them and outputting the name. Now, here's a for each where we're doing a where. Most languages, not all, have some way of limiting what stuff is going into the for each loop. Because, like I said, for eaches are used for iterating over collections, but sometimes you don't want to loop over everything. You just want a subset. That's where this kind of stuff comes in. So, right here, we're only looping where numbers are basically divisible by 5. So we're doing 0, 5, 10, so on again. Um, and another way you could do this is you could just have an if statement in here and do where x, item, sorry, item mod 5 equals 0. But it's just different ways of doing things, just something to keep in mind, right? Finally, we have a while loop. So here we're just grabbing a random number and we keep going until that number is 5. So this will keep outputting numbers until 5 is met. And here's a do while loop. This is showing some basic user input. So continue yes or no. We're reading an input, and if input is y, then set finish to true. And that will hit this condition. If it's true, it's not going to be false, so it's going to leave. So let's look at how the code is ran. Okay, so we have that for loop going 0 through 9, just as we expected. This is another for loop where we're adding 5 to I every time. And yep, doing what we should. For each, listing over every name. That other for each, where we have a where statement in it. That while loop, you see it hit 5 and it stopped looping. Continue. No. Okay, there you go. So that's really it to loops. They're a pretty simple thing, but just like arrays, something you really need to learn, and they can be really useful when used in a correct way. All right, I guess that's it for today. I'll see you next Wednesday. And remember, if you have any ideas of something you'd like to see, let me know.